Hey there. Welcome to another segment of Floor Bells Bibles Ministries. And I think I want to expound on a topic that I already spoke about in a different video um, entitled, Where Are You? And as you recall, in the book of Genesis, after Adam had taken a fruit from his wife Eve, all of a sudden their eyes were open and they knew they were naked. And when we say naked, we know it. The nakedness was of a psychological nature, and they were psychologically naked, mentally naked. So what did they do? They covered themselves. They were ashamed of their nakedness. The fact that they discovered that they were naked and mentally naked and had no perceived identity, they went to cover themselves up. So they decided to identify themselves. And as they identified themselves with their own self created uh, personalities, their own self created personalities covered up their God given personalities. So that's their covering was of a mental nature too. And as a result of that, they were disconnected from God. So what this means is that they were also disconnected from God's goodness, and they were disconnected from the joy of the Lord because of their own self-imposed self-identification. They gave up their God-given identity, took upon themselves their own identities, what they created with their own intellects, and it hid them from God. And as a result of losing the joy of the Lord, they lost sight of God spiritually, lost sight of God, and simultaneously, God spiritually lost sight of them, and hence God called out, Where are you? So, that being said, here's the real challenge that I personally see. We know in this day and age that in order to get back in God's grace, meaning to return to the Garden of Paradise, we have to come to a place of obedience. And what that means is that we have to become psychologically naked again. Obedience, for instance, I can go out into the world and feed the poor. I can go out into the world, maybe even heal the sick, and raise the dead, even. I mean, who knows? Supposedly the disciples did it, but you can go out into the world and do all that, but at the end, in the end, even though you may say, I did all this in your name, the reaction will be, the answer will be, I never knew you. Because our obedience was of a worldly thing. Yeah, we performed all these physical deeds, but we never removed our psychological clothing. Therefore, we missed out on being mentally obedient. Mental obedience is what we missed out on. And mental obedience is where it counts. Mental obedience is the true key to salvation. Being mentally obedient. And unfortunately, too many of us are hidden from God. We're covered up in all this negative psychological clothing, bad attitudes, hostile attitudes, fearful mentalities, depression. I mean, we are covered up with so much psychological clothing, and it separates us from God. We have to learn to become naked again. We have to understand how to go about being mentally obedient, because time ain't waiting for nobody. Time is not waiting for anybody. We need to figure it out. We need to figure out how to be mentally obedient. And it truly starts with examining our belief systems, understanding what we really and truly believe versus what we like to fool ourselves into thinking that we believe. Because if we believe in certain things that we profess to believe, we wouldn't have these bad attitudes. We wouldn't be so fearfully afraid around every corner, and we wouldn't have the anxieties that we have if we truly believe the things that we say we believe. It would be like David, when David said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because thou art with me." See, David was mentally obedient. And this is what we must learn to do, to be mentally obedient. Nevertheless, I know it's a little late, but I didn't want to let this Sunday get by without giving you a thought, a Bible thought. And I guess that's it. Y'all be safe. Have a good night. God bless.